back in the NRA, National Firearms Museum vault. Phil Schreier, Senior Curator here, has snuck us down here, inspired by Larry the Cable Guy's visit down here earlier in the year. And Phil, thank you so much for doing this. We were just talking about why haven't we done this earlier, but I'm so glad we're doing it now. It's so much fun to be down here. You were telling me before we started this particular segment that it was a special day. What were you saying about
today?
that?
Well, for our viewers at home and on the air, we're filming this on March 29th.
Okay.
Tuesday. So this obviously won't be live.
Right.
But
today,
March 29th, is a special anniversary day. And in fact, it kicks off a year of celebrations because this very day is the 100th anniversary of the United States military formally adopting the Savage 1911 .45 automatic as the standard government pistol for all United States Armed Forces.
A huge anniversary.
Actually, that didn't happen.
No?
No, that's the Savage.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the anniversary though, but not of this. But I could have been saying that about this gun today, but I'm not, because it's the anniversary of the Colt 1911.
Oh.
Where'd that come from? The Colt 1911 anniversary.
It's one I recognize. I was
That's
a little
what we
confused by
recognize.
that one.
But think about it. This is the gun that most everybody in the world would recognize as the United States Service Automatic. Had it been adopted, it came that close.
Wow.
That close to making it. In fact, this is a Savage 1907 model 45 ACP. This is the gun, this very one I have in my hand, through the generosity of Bailey Brower, the author of the Savage Pistol book, which we reviewed on this segment a while back. Bailey has the original, this being it, trials pistol from the 1907 through 1911 trials period. This is the gun that almost became the standard sidearm, where in fact this is the winner of those trials, the venerable John Browning design Colt automatic 45.
It looks like that's a well-worn one right there.
This one has character.
Yeah.
John, a lot of people pay a great deal of money to get guns that look like they just came out of a box, And when you're talking about service guns, especially military things, for me, having one that has 100% finish on it, still new in the box, holds no allure to me whatsoever. The guns that look like this, because, if we ever get to that point where we could make something talk,
yes,
these are the guns that have stories to tell.
I'll bet you.
Those other guns say, well, I spent the last 100 years in a box in a drawer, very dark.
Right.
Yeah, no fun.
It's like, Phil, when you see collectible cars, something that looks like it's never been off the trailer, you know what that's made to drive.
Right.
That could tell you some stories. That can tell you some stories there.
This gun was in the holster of a soldier in the 10th Cavalry in 1916 chasing Pancho Villa across Mexico.
Wow.
This is the gun that was in the holster of a young U.S. Army lieutenant from the 30th Division at the Saint Michel salient in France in September 1918, when the AEF under Pershing made themselves known on the Western Front. This is the gun that a sergeant, the 29th Division, splashed through the sands and waters of the English Channel onto Omaha Beach on the 6th of June, 1944. This is the type of gun a Marine took with him in a tunnel in Cu Chi through Vietnam and exterminated the Viet Cong as they were digging underneath their fortifications. This is the gun for 100 years that got the job done.
Yeah. And Phil, still getting the job done today.
Still getting
in a
it
lot of
done
people's
today.
opinion, that's still the gun to have.
That's it. That's the gun. The 45 ACP. It just, John, the thing I like to tell people about this gun that just raises the hair on the back of my head is that when John Browning first started work on the design for this pistol, back literally before the end of the 19th century, there were a pair of brothers in Dayton, Ohio that were selling bicycles, Wilbur and Orville Wright. They had never left Dayton by that time. Okay, this gun was designed while they were still selling bikes. By the time in 1987, when the U.S. Army initially retired this in favor of a 9mm, we had satellites in outer space. The entire age of flight had come, and now we were into the space age. This gun, designed by Browning, remained virtually unchanged during that entire advance in technology here on Earth. This gun pretty much looks the same way Browning left it when he turned in the patent drawings.
Something you immediately recognize universally. That's it.
That's
it.
it.
I know what that is.
That's it.
Well, that's great. Now, before we go in this segment, I just want to find out a quick question. What happened? I mean, you just give me a paraphrase why that was chosen over the Savage. It just in a trial period, and they just that won out.
You know, they took 200 guns
Right.
and they gave them to cavalry units out on the frontier to put them through their paces, and you know, a couple guns manufacturers, they didn't want to go to the expense of making 200 guns to even submit them for the trials. So they immediately lost out. Jeez. They were like, if I have to make 200 guns,
Had they only known, Phil.
Had they only known. Savage had to be talked into it. They had backed out at one point. And they said, 200 guns, that's a lot. Now, they were very successful in manufacturing their 32 autos and their 380s. Great guns, very popular. We even talked about the one Jude Law used in Road to Perdition at one point. But in .45 caliber, that was a new venture. So they had to be talked into making the guns. They did. Luger was supposed to make 200 guns in .45. They made 2. Right? They're now considered the most valuable Lugers in the world at $1 million for one of those, because it is the only known Luger from the 1907 trials in .45.
Oh, man.
But the Savage lost, the Colt Browning design won, and the rest is, as they say, history.
And a lot of history, 100 years. That is so great.
100 years.
Thank you for sharing. Tell folks, Phil, how people can get more information about the Firearms Museum here at NRA headquarters, and also about your website.
Well, if you get a chance to visit Fairfax, Virginia, located just outside the Capitol Beltway in Washington, D.C., the National Firearms Museum is located at the intersection of Route 66 and Route 50. For the next year or so, we will be commemorating the 100th anniversary of the 1911 with a new exhibit in one of our galleries. So be sure to come on in and see that yourself. We're on the interstate and on the internet, so if you get a chance, we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the internet at nramuseum.org. You can come in and take a look at all of the collection that we have on view in the 15 different galleries. The museum itself is open to the general public, free of charge, 7 days a week from 9:30 to 5. Plenty of parking. Not so accessible by the metro, but we're working on that.
Excellent. Yeah, they're building new metros as we speak.
Matt's digging a tunnel tomorrow.
Excellent. Yeah. Very good. Phil, thank you for another great segment down here in the vault. We'll return next week for another segment from the National Firearms Museum vault. Phil, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you then.
Thank you, John.